you're watching Cricbuzz Live. England are taking on Ireland in this Group 1 encounter in Super 12. England won the toss, opted to bowl first, asked Ireland to bat first in what seemed like tricky conditions. It was a fresh pitch, the ball was moving around a bit, and yet Ireland at the end of, 19.2 overs have managed 157 runs on the board. Spectacular innings from both Balbirnie and Tucker, but didn't really have a lot of contribution from the other batters. At one point in the 10th over mark, they were 92 for 1. So they may perhaps be ruining a missed opportunity here. To discuss it all, we've got with us Michael Vaughan and Zaheer Khan. Gentlemen, welcome. And Zach, am I saying incorrect? Am I correctly saying that? Because, at one point it did seem like it was going to be a bigger score.
Well, they had the platform. They were going very well. I think they will be disappointed that 15-20 runs would have really put England under pressure with the run chase. Or you always have that kind of opportunity of squeezing the opposition and getting those nerves playing as well. Just missed a trick, but on the whole, I was impressed. On the whole, Balbirnie batted very well. The way they showed intent. It was not easy against this kind of a bowling lineup, but the fact they learned from the previous game. Yeah. We did speak about in the first game against Sri Lanka, they were just looking to use pace, but today that wasn't the case. They were actually looking to put bowlers under pressure. Succeeded for majority of the innings. Another 15-20 runs, 170 would have been a perfect total for them to put the strong England batting lineup under pressure. Yeah. I think England will be feeling a bit relieved. They still have their work cut out, but they will be relieved that, okay, they're not chasing 170 plus kind of a total.
Yeah, because Michael, at one point it did seem like they were going to chase something in excess of 170 because the way both Balbirnie and Tucker were batting, it seemed like a big score was on the cards.
Yeah, they played well. I mean, those first 10 overs when they got up to that great start, I like the way that they played with real good intent, aggressive intent. I don't think England were great with the ball. Towards the back end, they got it better. Liam Livingstone made a big difference, and obviously Sam at the end is just having a nice time of it at the minute. But I thought England with the new ball were poor. They bowled too short, got hit square of the wicket too often. The ball was swinging and didn't really bowl the right lengths. If they had done, I think it'd have been a lot harder for the Irish batters. But full credit to Ireland. They've not got the number that they would have liked because of the start they got. I think 180 would have been more like what they would have been looking for at the halfway stage. But they're in with a chance. But this pitch looks like it's a beauty. I mean, There is a bit of swing there for a few overs. There might not be as much swing in the second innings because there's not as much cloud around as there was at the start of the game, and England might feel a real good opportunity here of knocking this off quite quickly if they get off to a decent start.
Yeah, they'd want to do that, but the one thing that Michael mentioned is something that you also said, Zach, while we were watching the game. You said England's bowlers seemed wavered, and that reflected at least at the halfway mark in their economies as well. It still reflects in some of those, be it Sam Curran, be it Chris Woakes. There may be wickets for Sam Curran, but a lot of them, were they trying too much? Was there perhaps an overwhelming feeling of because of the conditions? What was that?
Just trying too much, you can certainly say that. That's something which can happen when you're playing against associate nations or slightly lesser teams. You want to intimidate with them with the attacking aggressive bowling. I think that was the intent. Taking wickets was the intent. I think from that point of view, they will look back and say, okay, we got them all out. So that is something which worked in their favor. But yes, those first 10 overs, Ireland batters did put this bowling under pressure. And under pressure, the plans were kind of not proactive, I would say. You have a plan before the match and you stick with that. That is something at times you got to be flexible enough to see, okay, what is conditions on offer or what a particular batter is playing or a partnership is building. Then you slightly have to shift from that plan. Looked like England had their plan before the match, saying that we're going to approach this innings in this fashion, and they tried to stick with that, even though the batters were playing a bit differently.
Yeah, and yet it was the spinners who brought them back in the game, and that's something that's really interesting throughout this T20 World Cup, Michael, because if you look at those figures again, something that's been reinforced throughout the Super 12s at least is that the spinner's role, especially in those middle overs, is still pretty critical. And today it was evident in the way Rashid bowled, in the way Livingstone bowled as well.
Yeah, I mean, a leg spin to right-handers is always a major threat in T20 cricket. Just getting the ball to subtly manoeuvre either way makes it just a little bit harder for the batters to line up the strikes down the ground. At the MCG, you've heard on the commentary, you aim to go straight because the boundary sizes are quite small, but what you need is spinners that just take it either way. So it gives you that element of doubt as the batter that you can't hit through the line of the ball. I thought Rashid bowled nicely. He's been struggling of late, but I thought he bowled nicely to just build a bit of pressure. And then Liam came on and just got a few rewards when, obviously Ireland are trying to set up that big total. The run out and the non-strikers then really is the key, because that partnership was flourishing. It was going. They were playing great. I thought England were under a huge amount of pressure. And when you get a wicket like that, and then you get a wicket the next couple of balls later with Mark Wood, that was really the turning point for me. I think if that hadn't happened, and it's always in hindsight, I think we would have seen Ireland get to that 180 target.
Yeah, they'd still be ruining the fact though, Zach, because, they still had batters outside of Tucker and Balbirnie. They still had a lot of batting firepower. We've seen Curtis Camphor do it alongside George Dockrell. And it seemed like the stage was set, but none of them, be it Tector, be it Camphor, be it Dockrell, they'd be disappointed with those three especially.
Also, it's a product of lack of experience at this level as well. You have these experiences and you learn from that. When you have such a start, sometimes you get caught up with just keeping that momentum going. And the smart teams, what they do is they understand, okay, if a wicket is fallen, they will have the discussions around that leading up to the matches, as well as a batting unit, that you build that small little partnership. In T20 format, you have more time than you think. But just because the first 10 overs was so good, you want to carry on with that. So even if you lost a couple of wickets in cluster, you kind of want to continue with that momentum. But sometimes it's just that small little partnership, seeing that phase through works, and that comes with experience. So I'm sure Ireland, with playing more and more matches at this level, will learn these small little tricks which goes long way in a success of a team. But on the whole, you got to give them credit. They put up a great fight in the first innings. They gave themselves the best chance to come to a situation where they can really put this England batting lineup under pressure.
Yeah.
You still have a decent total. 160 is a good total in this format, but a lot has to go your way, and that panic needs to be created in this experienced England batting lineup. White ball cricket, that how consistent they've been. So they will be happy that they don't have to chase that in excess of 170 plus total. But seems like with the experience and the ability which they have in that batting lineup, they should be able to pull this through comfortably.
158 to get for England, Michael, and the condition seems to be easing just a tad because it was moist, it was dark, overcast in the morning. Now we see the sun is out, the pitch will perhaps ease a tad. You back England to get them? And if yes, in how many overs?
I think they'll chase them down. I'll be amazed if they don't get the number. They'll want a good start, and then they'll want to probably press the button midway to go, can we get these down in about 16 overs? Can we really get our net run rate working in our favour? Big game on Friday against Australia. We know what happened to Australia in that first game. And as we said in the pre-show, I do think this group will come down, particularly that second spot will come down to net run rate. So if you get a chance, and England have played the lesser of the two teams in the group in the first two games against Afghanistan, they won, but they didn't really do much in terms of damage on the net run rate. In terms of a positive sense, I think if they get a chance here, they have to take the opportunity and try and get these runs in as quick a fashion as they possibly can.
Yeah, and if you have a look at Ireland's bowling attack, Zach, something that you mentioned about a very evident trend in this T20 World Cup, get those wickets in the power play and then you can perhaps dictate the middle overs. And that would be the task for Ireland's bowlers as well. They've got some very good bowlers. Josh Little, Gareth Delaney, Curtis Camphor can give you a few overs there. So that'll be their task cut out. Get some wickets in the power play and then dictate the middle overs.
Absolutely. Till the time that seam is nice and hard, you want bowlers to extract maximum from the pitch and look for that one or two early wickets. I think if that happens, they will be certainly in with a chance. I still feel that England will still have a cautious approach. They will look to set that platform nicely, look to get a decent start, and then like how we've seen from Australia, later on you look to up the ante and try and finish the game for that net run rate. I don't think they'll start the game with thinking net run rate in mind.
Yeah.
I think they'll still want to start cautiously, set the platform, and then look to take charge.
In that process of setting the platform, gentlemen, let me give you some good news. It's not good news, Michael. Joss Butler's gone, second ball. Josh Little caught behind. And that kind of complicates things. But we've got to take our power play predictions before something else happens. You're not lowballing this one, Michael, are you?
Well, you've surprised me. I've not got the screen on in this dark room that I'm in at my house. So that's not the news I was expecting. Look, England haven't been quite at the races. They weren't quite at the races with the ball for the first 15 overs. I didn't think they were great in the field. I thought they were quite sloppy, and they've obviously had a poor start with the bat. So Ireland have done it to England before. I think it was Zach said at the start of the show that there's an upset. There's an upset potential that may happen. I'm hoping it doesn't happen in about the next 60 minutes.
What's your power play prediction then for England?
Well, I was going to say 60, but now Josh has gone. I'm going to say 48.
48. Zach?
I'll go with 40, I think. 40 is...
40? 40, 48. I say 44. This one, well, you've heard it here. The predictions, perhaps there's an undertone of an upset here as well. If that happens, it'll be very interesting. England, Ireland. England chasing down 158. This one's going to be very special. We'll come back at the end of 10 overs with Cricbuzz Combox. That's all on Cricbuzz Live. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Michael, for joining in. We'll see you super soon.